Okay, so the song I'm going to look at today is called Brontide. So Brontide is an interesting word. It means the distant sound of thunder. It's actually seismic activity, but it's defined as the distant sound of thunder. So for me, that's kind of suggesting impending doom and gloom. And in this case, this song, it alludes to loss, fading memories, regret, dementia. So it's kind of an array of these kind of emotions. Declines, you sleep away. I call your name, but you don't recognize me. We twist and weed as I held your hand, and you held my back, an empty vessel, drift from the coast. Oh, we are losing, I know it's not your fault, but the thunder above says enough is enough, and it's breaking my heart. Oh, goodbye, my love. Oh, goodbye, my love. Okay, so I'll break it down a little bit here. I suppose the time signature is worth looking at. Usually in pop music we have a 4/4 time signature, so that'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me just try and superimpose this into 4/4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. So it might be something like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Okay, but to change it up a little bit and I suppose just inject more interest and kind of catch the listener out a small bit, I went with 5/4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3. You can also count that as 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So just kind of like that tripping effect that's created, because the song, it's melancholic, it's poignant, it does allude to dementia, it alludes to loss, it alludes to weathering and growing old, so I thought that the 5/4 time signature was quite appropriate. So for the recorded version of this song, I opted for the nylon classical guitar. There's just something kind of regal about it. I also felt it evokes a little bit more nostalgia. Just for this song, I felt it kind of worked. It's a bit more melancholic. I'll just show you an example of how it sounds on the steel string. Steel string, I mean, there's merit in it, but the steel string always creates this kind of folk flavour. I mean, it sounds good, but just for a recorded version, I think when you hear that nylon string guitar, it lures you into a certain realm. For any of you listening who are familiar with Irish traditional music, you may have noticed a little Irish angle going on. So during that section where I was doing that whistling solo, that whole section is actually that whole melody is based on the butterfly. Now the butterfly is a slip jig in a 9/8 time signature. So I truncated that melody and superimposed it into the 5/4 framework. So let's just have a listen to the original melody, the butterfly. So I think it's quite cool. Just, I suppose, to get away from it sounding too Irish in character and flavour, I have it played on saxophone by Sean Fury. So one of my objectives for this piece of music was to create something that was quite vivid and music that was kind of visceral to accompany the lyrics. At the end of verse 1, I use 4 consecutive diminished 7th chords. So that's kind of cool. So that just creates tension. And what I like about this as well is there's an E pedal note. In each of the 4 chords there is an E note. I suppose another thing I want to draw your attention to is the chord progression. So if we look at this section, an empty vessel drift from the coast. I use this chord, my old guitar teacher used to refer to it as the James Bond chord. It's an E minor, but with the sharpened 7th. So usually you'd hear an E minor 7, an E minor 7 is E, G, B and D. But if I play E minor with the sharpened 7th, it's E, G, I'll just let that motorbike go by. E, G, B and D sharp. So I just think it works quite well because I always wanted to create something that felt a little bit cinematic. So I think that aids me in that quest. So recently I filmed a video for Brontide with my dad. Those of you who know me will know I have Clifford Productions with my dad. So we work on documentaries, music videos, we work alongside spoken word artists. It's something that we started up in 2017 and the whole thing has kind of unfolded quite organically. But it's amazing to work with my dad and to have such a strong, unified artistic vision. Yeah, so recently we had to travel to Sligo. We had to clear out his aunt's house and we had to finally remove the possessions. So it was quite, as you can imagine, physically and emotionally draining because it's quite a strange experience to actually have to break up furniture and throw someone's life out. In fact, it's yeah, it was very multifaceted. And yeah, I mean, like even my earliest memory of life is actually in that house in Sligo, sitting on my great-grandmother's lap. And like my dad spent a lot of time there when he was a teenager, so it was sad, you know. But it was interesting unearthing all these kind of treasures and artifacts in the house. She was a very pious woman. She was very devoted to religion. So there's a lot of religious iconography in the house. So I said to my dad, look, let's bring the camera with us, because not only for artistic reasons, but it was a great opportunity to document this just for the family to have. Like essentially, it was documenting my dad's final goodbyes in the house. So we did a reversal of roles. Normally he's the one videoing me, and I kind of do the acting as such in the music video. But we changed that around, so I was manning the camera and he was the actor, the talent. So yeah, it was quite nice what unfolded. Like there was no blueprint and there was no storyboard. And actually, to quote my favourite madcap German director, the storyboard is the instrument of the coward. So they're the words of Werner Herzog, who was a great source of inspiration for both myself and my dad. He's a really big believer in throwing yourself into the realm of possibility, and it also allows you to make impulsive judgments. And I suppose his quest was always illumination. If you overplan everything, it stagnates and the enjoyment is it's sucked out of the experience. So what we filmed definitely suggests the themes that I explore in the song. What ensued was I did a lot of close-ups, so a lot of from the back of his head, videoing my dad's hands. That became a study, or just kind of, I suppose, a visual motif. And yeah, the whole thing was quite poignant. I think it fits really well with the song. As I say, it was like filming him in real time, saying his goodbyes to the house. And it was a wonderful location to shoot in, because I mean it would be hard to find a location like this. I mean the house was quintessentially Irish. You have the obligatory barmy wallpaper and carpets, and just all the religious iconography, as I say. So apart from shooting in the house, we also made the most of the landscape, because anyone familiar with Sligo will know it's just an enchanted, incredible county. So we decided to go out to Ross's Point and Coney Island. So between the location, the landscape, the religious iconography, the fact that I used the butterfly melody, the whole thing exudes some kind of something that's indigenous to Ireland, really. And it's something that I don't always explore. I kind of go for a music which is, I mean, I'm so influenced by the Beatles and Radiohead and Nick Cave and classical music, and it's just big synthesis of many elements. But so my music doesn't sound Irish. So this time around I was like, well, why not inject a little bit of it and just explore a slightly different approach. Right, look at this barmy angle I'm just after coming across. I just uploaded Brontide as a private link to YouTube, just to share it with some people and just to make sure it wasn't public. So typed into Google Greg Clifford Brontide and was greeted with this. I was like, Brontide original mix by Greg Clifford on Beatport. I've never heard of Beatport. So I clicked on that, and it turns out, what is this? No thank you. It turns out another Greg Clifford in the world brought out a song called Brontide. So I'm not even the original Greg Clifford Brontide. That is barmy. Release date 2009. God. That is bizarre. I mean, look, Greg Clifford, that's not even a mad common name. And Brontide is definitely an irregular word that I do not come across. That's the graphic, that's the design work. Oh, terrible font and all. It's like, and the sound and all, it's like the antithesis of me. Oh, what a weird angle. I must try and track this guy down. Do a little documentary called Finding Greg Clifford. Jesus, I'm not even the original GC. Strange angle.